time.
Shut the hell up! It's my turn!
Okay, you have to have CTE kicked in from the last time.
What happens in the dojo stays in the sauna, but then yet is still leaked to the internet.
Ooh, self-burn. Those are rare.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Bullshit.
You are now listening to the Not Your Average Sports Fans podcast. Now here's your host, Alec Beichelman, and the fans.
So I looked at the wall and I said, dude, that's not a painting. That's what I had for dinner last night.
That's kind of dangerous. I was going to say, that's kind of weird. That's how you got a blue wall, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Hello and welcome to Not Your Average Sports Fans podcast. I'm Alec Beichelman. Welcoming into the studio. One fan for right now, but soon, hopefully, to be two.
Two's a lot. Two's more than one, you know?
Who's a party?
I always say
is
three's a crowd.
a couple.
They say three's a crowd. We're at two right now, so it sounds like if Dalton joins it, it might become a big crowd, you know?
We're going to have a crowd, and I'm all for it. I'm with it. I'm wicked and on it, and we're all about it. So, sir, you know what today is. It truly is the most wonderful time of the year. They have a song for it.
Absolutely.
For one part of the season, but there's other parts of the seasons that make it just even more of a wonderful time of the year.
Yes.
We're talking about bowl season.
The most wonderful time of the year.
We're talking playoff fantasy football. We're talking college bowl season. We're talking the wrap up of the NFL season, which is always fire.
Yeah, because it kind of started a couple weeks ago. State championships wrapping up. Now it's college football. Sure. Last week we had a spectacular game with Army Navy, and now it's bowl season.
And then you just have to keep going with everything else that's going on. It really is a great time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good slow down time for everyone as well. Life's slowing down a little bit because of the holidays. Kind of relax.
Yeah.
And you want to know what the best part of it all is, Chris?
What's that?
I am off of work the first day of bowl season.
There you go.
And I get to enjoy the weekend. Now, the issue is I worked that Monday. I took some extra hours the Monday after. But that also makes it so that my Thursday, I have less hours. So, Thursday before Christmas, got some more time to watch some football. So, brother, let's get into the meat of this episode because I'm going to be real with you. There's a couple things I want to talk about. One of them I want to talk about let's talk about it before the meat of this episode. And that is former recruit for Ohio State, now former recruit for Georgia. Dylan Raiola has had some rumors going around. There is no real commitments. There's no real conversations. Just a lot of hearsay and a lot of bullshit.
Yes. The crystal ball is pointing at he's going to play with Horn. He's going to go to Nebraska.
Never in my life did I think that a number one quarterback would end up back at Nebraska without large sums of money. And, of course, your past coach that brought a lot of past sadness to you in the NFL.
Hey, you know what? He said it took $1 million to $2 million to bring in the quarterback. I'm wondering if he's got that $2 million. You know?
I'll tell you what, maybe those cornfields had a little bit of oil at the bottom of them to be able to get that money for Nebraska to be able to pay for a quarterback. Because I'll tell you what, paying the money for that quarterback is going to bring more money in, a.k.a. wide receivers that want to catch from him. Because of some of the things that I've heard about Dylan Raiola.
Gonna be interesting to see what happens. I mean, hey, Matt Rule said, like Jay-Z, it took 7 years. I'll give credit where credit's due. He went 5-7, not too shabby compared to what Nebraska did the year before. They won a few more games. They had a few more moments where they shined a bit better in games that they definitely need to show improvement on.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock Purdy's brother, Little Purdy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll have to check, but Little Purdy played solid ball towards the second half of the season because that's when he started getting play time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he tried to beat Iowa, and Iowa ended up turning the ball over because Iowa defensively, great football team. Offensively, hey, they made punt records.
They have not had a good offense in quite some time.
The last time, which a few years back, like it wasn't like one of the top tiers, but they had a solid offense when Nate Stanley was there.
Mhm.
CJ Beathard, even Jake Rudock before he had his one season in Michigan. But really, you got to go back a little bit of ways, real if you really want to remember. It was when I can't remember, but it was the backup because 2009 he was a backup, and he's going into Ohio Stadium, and it's like, oh, this is going to be like one of his first starts, especially in the shoe. He's going to get blown out. Look what happened. It was an overtime thriller of a game. That was one of the best televised games all season long.
Absolutely. I just hope maybe this bowl season Iowa will figure it out again.
Hopefully.
And
They got a solid game. They got a solid game coming.
They do have a solid game, which we will get to here in a moment. But let's get through these.
Yes.
Sir, let's talk a little bit about what we've actually set up this year for the bowls, because we kind of did a soft move last year with what we're doing this year, but we are hitting it actually a lot harder this year in terms of what we wanted to do, which is the bowl mania situation on ESPN.
Absolutely. So right now, we did it for March Madness. Why not do it for college football? We got bowl mania brackets out. The fans are joining in. We had a couple other guys join in. Shout out to the GOAT, Paul James. He's got a bracket going in. Compete against the fans. See how we do. See how you guys do against the fans. Everybody loves football.
Absolutely. And I'm horrible at picking bowl games, I'm going to be honest. So everybody has a chance to beat me. I really am poor at doing this. Just be prepared.
Also, Brock Purdy's little brother, Chuba Purdy. That's the quarterback. He's a sophomore for Nebraska. He got the nod after transfer Jeff Sims, who's a junior, started this season. They made a couple quarterback switches. Heinrich Harburg, he got started a couple games, and then Chuba Purdy went in, and Chuba was clicking when he went in.
Well, not to take away from him, but let's be honest, they bring in Raiola. He's starting no matter what. And another little bit of insider information, I heard a little bit about Raiola's situation with Nebraska. I guess his father's brother, which is his uncle, but his father's brother is the offensive line coach at Nebraska.
Yep, he's on the coaching staff there.
Absolutely. So that might have been a little bit of something in the conversation, like, hey, you can come start here because...
Yeah, and it was talks before, even when he was a junior and he committed to Ohio State, because his uncle was becoming the Lions coach for Nebraska, and then it was when he decommitted and committed to Georgia, and then look at Georgia's quarterback situation, which Brock Vandergolf, he entered the transfer portal. He's a backup for Georgia, entered the portal, and now he's going to Kentucky because Carson Beck decided, he didn't fully say, but he dropped the hint. I'm coming back for one more year.
Now,
because they thought he was going to leave after this season, especially with the spectacular football season Georgia had until the SEC championship.
Now that is a sneaky pick right there. Kentucky did not get into a bowl game this year, sadly enough.
They did.
They did?
Yep.
It is not on my pick list. That is the reason why. My bad. But because we have multiple pick lists, but
well, there's
Kentucky
88 teams that are bowling, so we got 44
correct.
teams to pick.
So
there's a lot of bowl games.
Kentucky will be a sneaky pick next year in general because Kentucky is picking up Chip Traynham.
Yep,
They're going to be picking up Brock.
And they got a few other players coming back too. I talked about it before. Kentucky is a solid school, especially led by Mark Stoops.
It's a good situation going on there in Kentucky, and to be honest with you, keep an eye out on them. They're going to be they're going to be ranked next year. I bet.
Yeah. They were ranked this year. Of course, they had a hiccup here and there.
Mhm.
I will not be surprised if Kentucky gets everything clicking and they're within the top back to the top 2 of the East. But they look real good to where they get a nod to playing a New Year's Six game.
Yeah, and
They can
I
line
will
up
say
against the Group of 5 champion.
there's one thing that they need to look at, and that is health with Chip Trainum. Make sure he stays healthy because Ohio State's running back room this year was a mess. It really, truly was.
Injury bug got him.
It smacked the
Chip-
shit out of the running backs.
Chip's literally playing 1 year with Kentucky because he's got 1 year of eligibility.
Mhm.
But you know,
So-
with his 1 year of eligibility, he's gonna play. He's giving it all. So
Oh, absolutely.
Kentucky got one hell of a guy. I'll say that.
You better be ready to see what goes on with the Wildcats next year because I think
Absolutely.
they're going to be a team to be talked about next year. So
And I'll probably be praising them a bit more.
hell yeah. So let's talk. Speaking of talking about games, let's talk about some of these picks that we have or that we're running through Bowl Mania. My question for you in terms of our Bowl Mania and our conversation: are we running through every list of our bowl picks, or are we running through the list that you made for work?
No, full
We're running
list.
through just our Bowl Mania.
Yeah, the Bowl Mania games.
Okay, we're just talking
That's
about
on
Bowl
the
Mania
same.
games.
Yep. We
I
got
gotcha.
44 games per pick. We got 44 games we're picking. We're picking these 44.
Okay, sir. Let's ride. You started off.
All right. It kicks off this Saturday, December 16th. We got the Myrtle Beach Bowl between the Ohio Bobcats and the Georgia Southern Eagles. Shout out to Georgia Southern making a bowl game.
Mhm.
Clay Hinton, what he's doing down there, solid ball. So, here you got, Chairman.
I like those Bobcats. Those Bobcats have been playing well this year. I haven't seen too much with Georgia Southern, which I don't know what division they're in. Are they Sun Belt?
Yep.
Okay. So they're going to be Sun Belt. Ohio's, of course, in Maction, good old fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
They
It's
played
the
well
Mac-
this year.
Yeah. A MAC Sunbelt matchup. It's solid.
It's pretty lit. So Bobcats had a good season. They had a couple of games here or there. They lost 3, but I like Bobcats for this pick.
I also took the Ohio Bobcats. Just Ohio was clicking. No, Georgia Southern played solid ball. Of course, they had some slip ups here and there where, unfortunately, it cost some games, but it's football. But
Mhm.
regardless, they're in a good matchup, but I think Ohio will get the job done. Next game we got is at noon. The Cricket Celebration Bowl. We got the matchup of the MEAC and the SWAC. This year we got the Florida A&M Rattlers winning the SWAC, taking on the Howard Bison. Florida
Man.
A&M's going in at 11-1. Howard is 6-5.
There's a lot of stuff that I saw about Florida A&M this year, just in terms of some of the conversations, and they played some football this year. That's a team I would not pick against. That tells you a lot of the reason why there's such a high pick percentage going through when you look at the Capital One Bowl Mania.
Absolutely. So you're taking Florida A&M, I take it.
Absolutely.
I'm also taking them Rattlers. And I'm hoping their band's there too, because I kid you not, Florida A&M marching band. Let's travel back in time a little bit. In 2013, Ohio State scheduled to play Florida A&M. We won the game 70-0 with backup Kenny Guyton. But another reason we scheduled it was we wanted the bands to perform against one another, and it was hyped up. Unfortunately, Florida A&M traveling, they unfortunately couldn't get it scheduled for the band to travel, but it was still best regards. The band still performed and everything to where Ohio State and the fans could see it. I think they marched on their field, but regardless, solid school, solid. And this season, Florida A&M football, man, they played lights out. I caught little bit of their games, and they were blowing them out.
Mhm. Best damn bands in the land, sir.
Yes, sir. So, next game we got on the 16th at 2:15. We got the Sun Belt, Louisiana Raging Cajuns taking on the new FCS to FBS Conference USA Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Because of their move, the NCAA wasn't going to let them in a bowl game, but since we had a few teams that couldn't finish around 500, Jacksonville State got the nod at 8-4, and they're bowling boys.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We are excited, and I'm going to be real with you. Jacksonville State will get it done this year.
games in New Orleans because it's the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get to see an FCS to FBS get a first bowl win. I'm taking Jacksonville State. They're playing spectacular ball.
Absolutely.
Next game we got's at 3:30. The Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. We got the Appalachian State Mountaineers from the Sun Belt taking on the Maction champion. That's right, the Maction champion. Miami of Ohio Redhawks. They came back and they beat Toledo to win the MAC championship. Who you taking, Chairman?
First thing, where is the Cure Bowl at? Do you know?
I have to pull it back up real quick. I believe I had to pull it up and then
FBC Mortgage Stadium, Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say I think it's in Orlando.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Miami, Ohio to take this one. We do love ourselves some App State, especially with that magical hat logo you have there, sir. But I think the state of Ohio. I think the state of Ohio is going to win this one there, bud. Miami of Ohio, go real Miami.
The real Miami. I'll give credit where credit's due. Miami of Ohio had a spectacular football season.
Mm-hmm.
But Appalachian State, that might be an 8-5. They're not a pushover 8-5.
No way.
It was fight to the grin. Like, they came out in overtime to give James Madison their first loss this season. I think we're at a disagreement. I'm taking Appalachian State.
Well,
I think they get the job done. They win the Cure Bowl.
I agree. I agree that App State is not a pushover, but I don't know. I feel good about Miami for some reason.
Nothing wrong with that. It was a toss up for me, but I'm like, it's Appalachian. They just wait till the last second and then job's done, you know. So
well, and I think they have a couple ranked losses from really good ranked teams.
oh, absolutely.
They
beat Coastal to make sure they're to get into the Sun Belt Championship.
Yes.
So, next bowl game we got the New Mexico Bowl. We got the Mountain West Fresno State Bulldogs coming in to take on New Mexico State of Conference USA. That's right, New Mexico State joined the CUSA this year. And I'm gonna hint something else about the Conference USA here after a bit too. But time for the pick. Who you got, Chairman?
We had a little bit of banter about this one before we started recording. And Fresno State in past seasons has had really good seasons for what they are. But this new move for New Mexico State has really boosted them for some reason. The move from they were in the Mountain West.
They were Mountain West at one point. Then they went to Independent because they were independent last year, and then they went back to join the conference, and they joined.
And they went to CUSA. The move to the CUSA just really helped them out this year. I got to go with New Mexico State. Go Aggies.
I'm going to talk Fresno for a second. Solid teams. Jake Hantner, quarterback for them last year. Did solid for them. This year, bit of a different story. It literally came down to a 3-way tie, and all 3 teams were tied with the same record in the Mountain West to decide the conference championship. It came down to points. Like, I kid you not, it came down to a point system.
Mhm.
Fresno State didn't score as many points as some people projected them to do or predicted. They're still solid, but New Mexico State, last year coming out of nowhere, made it to a bowl game, won it. Last year they were playing solid. This year, playing red hot.
Mhm.
Got to where they are, made it to the first year member, made it to the conference championship. Unfortunately, lost, which I will reveal here in a little bit with the pick because it's tied in with my pick.
Okay.
But for the New Mexico Bowl, I'm taking the Aggies. New Mexico State gets the job done.
Respect it.
Next game we got is the LA Bowl between the Mountain West runner-up Boise State Broncos, which are 8-5 because, like I said, came down to a point system, taking on Chip Kelly and those UCLA Bruins. Although Dante Moore was a starter and he's entering the transfer portal. And there's a rumor he might transfer to Ohio State. But we'll settle those rumors after bowl season. Till then, they're going back to Dante Moore's not playing, and I think they got their other guy that started originally is actually getting the nod. So they still have a experienced quarterback getting the start.
This is pretty much a home game for UCLA. They're playing in Inglewood. Yes, I get it. Inglewood is a very large area in terms of California. And I know California is a large state. That's like saying, oh, yeah, you're playing at home advantage in Texas. Yeah, you might be on the other side of Texas, which is a 12-hour drive. But still a home advantage. I don't care what you say. And you're playing against a Boise State team that they're all right. They had a couple of decent wins, but they really only had good losses, you know?
Right.
Really, every other game that they played this year was against teams that they should have beat. The only ones I'm looking at that I'd say is a respectable loss is the fact that Colorado State beat them, but they should have beat Colorado State. They beat Wyoming, but they lost to Fresno. So, brother, I got to go with UCLA. What?
Boise beat UNLV, right?
Good question. Let me double check that.
One of them didn't play one another. I want to say UNLV and Fresno didn't play, but Boise played them.
UNLV did not play. No, they did. 44-22 at the end for Boise. They won. They won
okay,
at UNLV.
Boise won at UNLV. Okay, then there was a rematch between the two for the championship. I thought it was. I wanted to double check that. But as you were saying, you took UCLA.
I'm going with UCLA, man. It's a home game. UCLA's had some bigger losses and bigger wins. I don't know. Only one ranked game on their entire situation, which they played Colorado State, who played and beat a ranked Colorado. But I don't know. It doesn't correlate enough to me to give them this one, you know?
This is going to be another game where I think the Statue of Liberty gets broken out. I'm taking Boise to beat UCLA.
Interesting.
The last few times, granted, it's not the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
But the last few times Boise State played a Pac team in a bowl game, Boise State shows that they should be in the Pac-12. Even though it's a home game for UCLA, it's just a 5-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boise State gets the job done.
I think Boise State should be either in the Pac-12, which that is the best situation, which is not a thing anymore.
The Pac-2.
Yeah, the 2-pack is.
Maybe that's the opportunity to honor Tupac, but hey,
absolutely.
Talk for another day.
They should be in a Power 5
discussion. Absolutely,
they really should.
And there should be a handful of other Mountain West teams I think could play solid in Power 5. But.
Oh, absolutely. But I think Boise State's the first bid. in terms of Mountain West that needs to be talked about to be a Power 5 conference school. So,
All right.
nothing else on it.
Next game we got, which closes out the games on the 16th. We got the Independence Bowl between the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the final season for these guys to be in the Pac-12, the California Golden Bears. That's right. Cal Bears are bowling. Who are you taking, Chairman?
Texas Tech. No real conversation here. Cal has not been in conversation in terms of football since a wise men were there of the combo of Marshawn Lynch and Aaron Rodgers. So Cal has not been relevant since. Am I missing a year?
I'm going to go a little sooner because...
Who am I missing?
Before I pick it, Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, okay.
Because Keenan Allen came to the shoe and he had a solid game.
I'll give you that. I think I remember that. That was...
In 2013, it was Jared Goff versus Kenny Guyton because there was a comparison of who somehow had the better arm in that game. But they really wanted it to be Braxton versus Jared Goff. But Jared Goff also didn't have Keenan Allen that season.
Yeah.
Because it was Goff's freshman year and Keenan Allen left the year before. Regardless, shout out to Cal for making a bowl game to represent the Pac-12 for the final time.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think Cal loses.
Yep.
Texas Tech gets the win. Also, another little shout out for UCLA. Final bowl game as a Pac-12 representative as they're joining the Big Ten next year. They also obviously had lost.
Absolutely.
Next game, we got a new bowl game. Or one of the new bowl games. The famous Toastery Bowl. Game is on December 18th at 2:30. We have the Sunbelt represented Old Dominican Monarchs. Shout out to Go Be Bowling this year. They're taking on the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Who you taking, Chairman?
We're riding those Hilltoppers, brother. This is a game that I think will be enjoyable to watch. I think Old Dominion is a lot better than a lot of people think they are, but I think Western Kentucky is a lot better than a lot of people think they are as well. So there's going to be a little bit more on this game than a lot of people think. I'm going to try to etch out. Well, the problem is at 2:30 that day, I will be working. So I will not be able to etch out time for that.
As will most of us.
I might just have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and that's the old man's birthday that day too. I think I should convince him, hey, you got one more vacation day, take off, watch football, because this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a solid scoring game, probably even high-scoring.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell him to take the ride over to Charlotte.
Yeah, it's only a 6-hour drive, you know.
I know, right?
Anyway, so Old Dominion, they got a solid rusher. Old Dominion, I think, is going to win the run game. However, Austin Reed, Malachi Corley is one of the best receivers in college football. He was projected top 5. He was already shown to be a top 5 receiver this season, and I still think he is. Western Kentucky wins the passing game. Unfortunately, as much as I would like I would not be mad if Old Dominion wins because part of me thinks Old Dominion can pull off an upset. But Malachi Corley, he's going to have a game, and Western Kentucky is going to come out on top.
Now, my question to you, does Corley commit to the draft?
I think he's going to the draft. He'll play the bowl game, and then he's going pro.
He is a junior, so he has another year of eligibility, maybe 2. I don't know if they redshirted him, but
I don't think he got redshirted. If he does stay, but I think he's going to play this bowl game, have a game, and then he will go into the draft. Because like I said, he was projected to be a top 5 receiver.
Sneak.
Right.
Sneaky pick, man. Fantasy pick up next year. Keep an eye.
If he does, but if he stays, it's still solid for him.
Absolutely.
Next game we got is on Tuesday, the 19th at 9 o'clock. The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Sounds like we need to get some Scooters coffee to try for you coffee drinkers.
Yes.
You and I think Dalton's a coffee drinker. I don't like coffee, but Frisco Bowl, hey, it's a bowl game. I'm down. Let's go. Sunbelt representative, we are Marshall Thundering Herd. Taking on the new American Represented American Athletic Conference, or AAC, the University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. Solid bowl game matchup, especially because last year, 2 years ago, these guys played as Conference USA members. Now, Marshall's in the Sun Belt. UTSA is now in the AAC.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking, Chairman?
I'm taking UTSA. Marshall had a solid season and has consistently shown that they're a solid team. But UTSA is that guy this year, man. They're that guy.
I was on a toss-up for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what Marshall was doing. Ali is a solid running back. Marshall played solid ball. They looked solid. I watched them when they played James Madison and caught them a bit when they played, I believe they played Georgia State the next week. They were solid when I was watching them. But Frank Harris for UTSA. He was outstanding since he took the nod starting. And then Cephas, leading receiver for UTSA, solid season for him. Those Roadrunners, man, they're sneaky fast. I'm taking UTSA for the win. So
Absolutely.
the next game we got is on Thursday, the 21st at 8 o'clock. The Boca Raton Bowl. This team likes orange. They decided to make their team name the Orange. The Syracuse Orange are going to take on a team that lost to Bama by only 10. That's right. The University of South Florida Bulls. ACC versus AAC. Who are you taking, Chairman?
I'm going to go with Syracuse on this one. Both have had pretty good seasons, I think, in terms of conversations. They've lost to some good teams. They've won against teams they should have beat. Actually, no, let's be honest. Syracuse lost to a team they should not have lost to. And that would be Boston College. They should not have lost to Boston College.
Yeah, Boston College was still doing solid, though.
I understand.
I think when they lost. Boston College was trying to make a running to show that they could be a team that beat in the ACC.
I get you, but they've had some ups and downs this season. I'll still give it to Syracuse, and it's single-handedly because they've played tougher opponents. Southern Florida's got teams on here that aren't even in full conference. Well, are in FCS. They've got an FCS school on here in terms of UConn, because UConn's FCS, are they not?
UConn's independent.
They went independent, okay. So, I don't know, man. You beat Navy 44-30. That's a pretty good win. Hung around with Bama, who surprisingly got better. We're gonna go with Syracuse.
You going with Syracuse?
We're going with the Qs.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer. Lock me in.
Give me the upset.
Ride it, Cowboy.
I'm taking South Florida. They looked. Honestly, I'll be honest. Yes, they lost games they shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
They won games that they should have won, and probably a couple that we don't know how they won, but hey, they won, But to play Alabama, have the lead, and lose to everybody's favorite school. See, I got the Jazz hands to prove that everybody's favorite school, even though I have more opinions, but this is a family-friendly podcast.
Bias.
But give me South Florida for the upset.
Southern Florida for the ride. Okay, or South Florida, not Southern. Southern.
South, you know.
You know.
The next game we got, and I'm upset Don's not here because we like to have him pronounce it, but it's the Gasparilla Bowl.
The Gasparilla Bowl.
The new Big 12 team, University of Central Florida Knights, taking on the ACC conference team, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. It's going to be a good, solid game in my book. It's going to be a good game. He's taking chairman.
We're going with the Knights, man. The Jackets had a good season for what they had, but UCF, you know, undisputed. Never forget. Undisputed.
So Central Florida, I think, joked with Florida State saying, hey, just say you're undisputed since you didn't make it to the cup playoff, you know?
Absolutely. Undisputed. Something with Florida and disputing, and nobody wants to dispute it, you know? Right on.
So I'm pulling up some stats. Central Florida's favored by 4.5.
Okay.
John Lee Plumlee for Central Florida. He's a solid quarterback for him, especially a two-way athlete because he plays football and baseball for him. Hudson King. I think it's Hudson. Give me a second. I'm going to double check.
I believe so, yes.
Haynes King. I'm sorry. Haynes King. Quarterback for Georgia Tech.
Yes.
Not too shabby. He was solid. And I'm going to actually try to pull up their schedule real quick.
He shows better stats than Plumlee.
And they made it a game with the number one ranked team at the time. Georgia, they ended up 1-0. I think it was close, and then Clemson just squeaked out in the second half. They kept it close with Louisville. Ole Miss, they played them. North Carolina, they beat North Carolina in North. Oh, that one was a home game. They beat North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ride with it. Give me the upset. I think the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets get the win. Get another bowl win for the first time in a while. Especially because of the last time they went bowling, I think was when they made the Discover Orange Bowl and beat Mississippi State, led by, fun fact, Dak Prescott.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Next game. Saturday, December 23rd at noon. The Camellia Bowl. Action is in action. The Northern Illinois Huskies.
Yes.
Taking on the Sun Belt Conference Arkansas State Red Wolves. Another MAC versus Sun Belt. Who you taking, Chairman?
So this, I don't know if I would ever really consider this an upset game or what I would call this, but I'm first thing going to try my damnedest to try to watch this game no matter what, because this is a noon kick on a Saturday. Beautiful way to enjoy my Saturday afternoon. Brother, I am very much behind this Arkansas State Red Wolves team. Northern Illinois has a team, but something about this Arkansas State team, there's something to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's just telling me go with them. So I'm going to ride. We're going to bite Arkansas State for that dub.
I'm in the same boat. It's going to be a solid game. But I think if something happens where Northern Illinois has the lead or it's close or anything, Butch Jones is the head coach for Arkansas State. He's going to get his team fired up, especially because they had a blowout loss. And he was upset about it, and his players pretty much backed him up. I think he's going to hype his players up. Arkansas State, I think they get the win.
Becton.
Next game on that the same Saturday, game at noon. We got the Birmingham Bowl, ACC conference team, the Duke Blue Devils, taking on the Sun Belt champ, the Troy Trojans. And spoiler alert, Riley Leonard has entered the portal. He is committed to Notre Dame. He ain't playing.
So here's my deal.
From your face, it looks like it's a pretty big deal.
Troy has 11 wins.
11-2.
They're 11-2.
And a conference
Duke is 7-5. But what am I seeing on here that tells me more to this story? The more things that tell me on this story is the fact that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ranked games, 5 ranked games on this list for Duke.
Mm-hmm.
There are 0 ranked games. And I mean 0 for Troy. Duke beat a ranked team. Only 1. Now, what did they do with the other 4? Hung around. To the point that they went to double overtime with a number 24 North Carolina. Lost 23-0 to a number 18 Louisville, who has proven themselves as a good team. Went 38-20 with Florida State, who got just pushed right out of the national championship conversation for the playoff. And only lost by a touchdown to a Notre Dame team that really struggled this year at times with being able to close games. But the biggest thing that I'm looking at of this all is almost every team, except for, I'm going to say like 3 on their schedule, have a bowl game. So I can't say the same thing about Troy. I can't. So I have to go with the Duke Blue Devils. I think that they just have too good of a resume to not go with them this year. Yeah, Troy looks great this season. And Troy's favorite, I believe. But no, Duke's favorite. I don't even know why the high picks are up here for Troy to take this. But Duke should be your team for this.
So you want this line?
I was looking at the line.
Troy is a 7.5-point favorite, over under 43.5.
But Predictor has Duke 57-42. So
I'll be honest. That's a game. It's going to be a game regardless.
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, because I looked at it and I was indifferent about it. All the cases you made about Duke was the same case I was going to make. Duke played a lot of ranked teams.
Yeah.
The losses, they hung around. They shut up. They had the opportunity to beat Notre Dame. They let Notre Dame come back and win.
Mm-hmm.
They had an opportunity to beat North Carolina because, of course, Duke and North Carolina do not like one another. Couldn't get the job done. Troy played a ranked Kansas State team. Lost. I believe it was in Kansas State. Yes, at Kansas State, they lost. It was not pretty.
Yes.
Then they had a home game against James Madison and lost. Played a solid Western Kentucky, won. Georgia State, quality win. Arkansas State, quality win. More of their wins that are going down the line, since that lost to James Madison by 2, all the wins they got were quality wins. Gunnar Watson, the quarterback. Spectacular gunslinger. He is a passer. Kamani Vidal, solid running back. Troy came out of nowhere this season and last season. because last season they won the Sun Belt and they won their bowl game. The last 2 years, Troy came out of the works and was looking good, and they were overshadowed. Because the years before that, Troy was not. Do you want to take a wild guess where the state Troy plays football at? What state?
Troy, what state they play in?
Yep. Would you like a hint?
Yeah.
Starts with the letter A.
Alabama? Great state of Alabama.
Troy, Alabama.
Interesting.
So it's an in-state game for Troy.
Get you.
Regardless. Even though I'm trying to add suspense for it, but you know how it goes. I was right in Duke. Duke looked great. I think Troy will get the job done. Troy gets the win.
Interesting. I will give you one last piece of information that was brought down 4 days ago in terms of Troy. That just kind of helps me seal my idea. And that is the fact that Summerall's out.
Mm-hmm. Took the Tulane job.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, was good. Take it. That's a good position.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So that is a step up.
I think I read something that someone within that staff, I think one of their coordinators, I think is going to intern.
I get you.
I think he was a factor.
I
think it's the offense. I can't remember which coordinator took it, but regardless, the team wasn't too shabby. Because, like I said, I wasn't different with that too, especially because I was thinking about Summerall taking the job to go to Tulane. Speaking of this game, a head coach got the nod, and he is took the head coaching job for Indiana. We got the Armed Forces Bowl, led by the Air Force Falcons, military team that got the nod to be bowling out of the Mountain West, taking on a team from the Sun Belt that went 11-1. That I said could have made a case to make the college football playoffs if they finished undefeated, and the freaking NCAA wanted to be a bunch of assholes, and then they finally let them go bowling. That's right. The James Madison Dukes are going fucking bowling, and they're taking on Air Force. Game's at 3:30 on Saturday, December 23rd. Who you got, Chairman?
Brother, I'm going to be real with you. I want to pick Air Force because they are the better. Well, in terms of their season, I don't think either of them had a better season. I think they both had really good seasons. Air Force just hasn't closed it out this year. They lost to 4 teams at the end of the year they should not have lost to. One of them being Hawaii. Hawaii's good. Don't get me wrong. They're better. They are improved. How about I say that? They're not good. They're improved.
They went from
should not lose to Hawaii.
I was gonna say Hawaii went from what, 1 win to 5.
On
the right track.
They are 5-8 this year.
5-7. Yeah, 5-8.
They
I forgot they had an extra game.
If they had one more win, they could have maybe had a chance to go bowling this year.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been in the conversation, but they couldn't beat the powerhouse of Vanderbilt at the beginning of the season, and that was the game changer right there. So, brother, I gotta go with James Madison. The 2 teams stepping up into the FBS this year. They're gonna get it done. James Madison, y'all ride.
I hinted it, and I'm keeping it. It's about damn time the NCAA committee let this team go bowling. Last year they looked really good where I thought last year they could have went bowling. By the time I was thinking they could have went bowling, unfortunately they went 8-4. I still think they should have went to a bowl game last year. But FCS to FBS transition, I fully get it. It was supposed to be a season long, then somehow they changed it to 2. Why they changed it to 2? I don't know. Bunch of money bag grabbing fuckers in the office. Who freaking knows? It's the same for the CFP committee. We're not jumping on that soapbox. We had it last week. We'll talk about it on another rainy day. Long story short, Hattiesburg, Virginia, home of James Madison Duke's college game day was there. Pat McAfee went off and said it best. He said the NCAA committee, they're acting like a bunch of assholes, not letting this. Who wouldn't want the whole freaking James Madison campus as they were living it up, hyping it up, ready for game day against Appalachian State. They finally made it to an ESPN game earlier this season when they played Marshall, and that was a fun game. Give me the motherfucking Dukes of James Madison to get a win over Air Force. Get another solid bowl win. FCS, FBS, both of them get the fucking win this bowl season. Let's go. Now as I'm getting off my hype box, we're playing the solid, famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Mountain West Conference team of the Utah State Aggies taking on the Sun Belt Conference team, Georgia State Panthers. Who you taking, Chairman?
Utah State is the team I'm taking on that one. That's just shot in the dark. 100%. We're going with them.
I'm also taking Utah State. Blue turf field they're playing on. Utah State's familiar with it. I think Georgia State will still make it a game, but I think Utah State will get rolling later in the game. We got the Ventures Bowl now at 7 o'clock. Utah State, Georgia State. That game's at 3:30. 7 o'clock. Ventures Bowl. Another new bowl game. Mention the Eastern Michigan Eagles are bowling. They get to bowl against the Sun Belt Conference, South Alabama Jaguars. Who you taking, Chairman?
Brother, I'm going with South Alabama. I don't know why, I just am. I feel good about it. We'll let them go. Let them ride.
Now, for those that like the odds and the numbers and everything, South Alabama is favored by 16 points.
Yes. I would not take that.
Eastern Michigan's known to cover.
Absolutely.
I would say take Eastern Michigan to cover, but South Alabama, I think, will come close to it. South Alabama gets the win. And I'd probably say 2 touchdowns will be how South Alabama wins. But Eastern Michigan will still make it a game. Just 2-possession game. Next game we got at 7:30 on the 23rd. The Las Vegas Bowl. Our first Big Ten team for the season is bowling. The Northwestern Wildcats. Under intern coach David Braun, now head coach. Taking on, now going to be gone Pac-12 to Big 12. The team that a handful of us projected them to go 3 straight for the championship. Unfortunately, they didn't. The Utah Utes, baby. We got Northwestern, we got Utah. Who are you taking, Chairman?
Only 2 things need to be said about this game. Go Utes. Utah takes this. Northwestern can barely beat themselves out of a wet paper bag. Go Utes.
Northwestern does have Bryant and Johnson. Solid for them. Utah's quarterback center transfer portal with Cam Rising saying he's coming back 1 more year. So Brian Barnes is gone. And Nate Johnson, who was playing solid ball for him, he's also gone. And Cal Whittingham did drop before. He was beating teams with the pig farmer because Brian runs a pig farm if he's not in school. He grew up on a pig farm. But regardless, still a solid player. I think Kyle Whittingham and the Utah Utes still get the job done. They get the win over Northwestern.
Yes, sir.
Next game we got to close out the night on the 23rd at 10:30. We got the Hawaii Bowl. Mountain West Conference team, San Jose State Spartans, taking on the Sun Belt Conference team, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Who you taking, Chairman?
Brother, you know what your shirt says, and we're going to ride it on. Chanticleers all the way, brother.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. My shirt says who I'm taking. San Jose State's going to make it a solid game regardless, though. I watched some San Jose State football when I was trying to stay up to 10:30 and passed out.
Yeah.
They're a solid football team. Regardless, Coastal gets the job done. So, next game we got, because Christmas Eve and Christmas, we're spending time with family. No bowl games. Next bowl game we have is on December 26th, on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We got the Quick Lane Bowl. We're rolling the boat by the Minnesota Golden Gophers, led by PJ Fleck, taking on a Maction team, the Bowling Green Falcons. And I believe that game's at Ford Field, too, still, because the Quick Lane Bowl, I think, is in Detroit. But solid game regardless. Who you taking, Chairman?
Bowling Green will win this bowl game. I have no faith, and I've had this in past years and years before. I have no faith in Big Ten football going into bowl games. Go Falcons.
I was indifferent on this one. I was back and forth. A football team led by PJ Fleck, I think they're solid, especially in the bowl game. Minnesota, Big Ten, of course. You know, I kind of like to represent Big Ten. The Bowling Green, they play some solid football this year. Like I said, I was back and forth with this. Part of me wanted to take Minnesota because of it, but I think Bowling Green will get the job done. I think BG gets the win. Next game we got is at 5:30 on the 26th. We have the First Responders Bowl. New conference team in the AAC, the Rice Owls, taking on the Sun Belt Conference team, the Texas State Bobcats. The Bobcats are playing their first ever bowl game since they made their transition a few years back from FCS to FBS. Who are you taking, Chairman?
As I look at this matchup, we talked about it earlier. It is a lot harder of a pick than I thought earlier after we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Texas State does look good, man. I'm just going to have to go with Texas State Bobcats. I don't know why I'm looking at Rice that heavy, but they've played a couple other teams that made them look better, you know. The fact that you lose to a couple ranked teams is a good look, so. Texas State it is.
It's a home game for both teams. So
Yes.
it's two Texas teams playing in the state of Texas.
Absolutely.
I want to give props to Texas State. First bowl game they made. That's awesome. And Finley, the quarterback for Texas State, so he is solid. Luke McCaffrey changed the position. He has a solid season as a receiver for Rice. Of course, Rice had a couple quarterbacks they went through. JT Daniels, fortunately, he suffered another concussion and medically retired. But Rice had a solid backup. I went back and forth with it, but give me the upset. I'm taking the Rice Owls for the win.
Respect it.
Final game we got on the nice Tuesday night of December 26th at 9 o'clock. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl. The Mountain West champions, University of Nevada, Las Vegas Rebels, taking on Big 12 Rock Chalk Kansas Jayhawks. Who you taking, Chairman?
Jayhawks all the way, brother.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Rock Chalk, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, December 27th at 2 o'clock is our next game. We have the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com. The AAC versus ACC. The AAC of the Tulane Green Wave taking on the ACC. That's a lot of A's and C's I'm saying as you see my tongue getting twisted. ACC conference team, Virginia Tech Hokies. You riding the wave or you got the Hokies?
I'm riding the wave, man. Tulane had a couple times where they were ranked this year. I don't believe they still are, but
They're not now.
it's a solid team, man. They only lost 2 games, and one of them they shouldn't have lost. They shouldn't have lost to SMU. But Ole Miss is a good loss.
But this time last year, a lot of people wondered why they were even in a bowl game, let alone a New Year's Six game.
Yeah.
Last year, they proved a lot of people wrong.
Yes.
This year, they had a solid game against Ole Miss that they lost. And then SMU, who ended up winning the AAC. But that Green Wave's not pushover. I'm taking Tulane for the win. Next game we got at 5:30. It is the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Big 12 Conference West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels from the ACC. Here you got, Chairman.
Drake May will not be playing in this game, correct?
Drake May foregoed, and he is getting ready for the NFL draft.
So this is a totally different situation than everybody should believe. This is a West Virginia team on a streak right now. They're on a 2-0 streak against a Cincinnati team that is beat and a Baylor team that's beat up. But they lost to a number 17 Oklahoma. At that time, a number 17 Oklahoma. And this is a North Carolina team that is down 2 right now and barely squeaked it out against Duke. I'm gonna audible this one, brother. I'm going West Virginia on this one. Go Mountaineers. They're I think they can get this one done.
I was indifferent. I heard this matchup and I was like, man, it's going to make me think.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know how me and think, the words me and think don't belong together, but we try to make it belong together, especially for this game. What Mac Brown and North Carolina did this year, solid. Drake May, yeah, he's not playing. North Carolina has a solid talent around. West Virginia's on the streak. Neil's got everything clicking for his Mountaineers. There is a wise man that once said, country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia is going to have a big jar of mayo to celebrate because they're winning the Duke's Mayo Bowl over North Carolina.
Eating a whole jar.
Next game we got is a DirecTV Holiday Bowl. Former Pac-12, it hurts us. A lot of these. Farewell Pac-12. Newcomer to the Big Ten next year, the USC Trojans, taking on one of the first-ranked teams we got on the list. From the ACC, number 15, Louisville Cardinals. Who we taking, Chairman?
Louisville all the way, brother. No comment.
Caleb Williams said he isn't playing. Brendan Rice declared for the draft. He's not playing.
Yes.
I say it before. I'm going to say it again. USC is overrated. They got beat and embarrassed by Tulane last year when they were supposed to skunk them. They lost. I was happy. Louisville's going to get the job done. USC is going to lose, and we're going to watch USC go from favored to win everything to, oh, we're going to play in Piscataway next year. Great.
Just another mediocre team in the Big Ten.
Yes. To close out the night, we got the Taxac Texas Bowl. 20th ranked from the Big 12, Oklahoma State Cowboys, taking on SEC teamed Texas A&M Aggies. Who we got, Chairman?
I'm going with the Cowboys. I don't know, something about it. A&M just didn't prove me right this year. Just too many losses that they should not have had. Oklahoma State played well, competed, tried to hang around all season.
Oklahoma State was solid. They even made it to the Big 12 championship. There, unfortunately, blowout loss. Texas A&M, they fired Jimbo. A lot of other players they had entered the transfer portal. They're one of the teams that has one of the most kids in the transfer portal. Those Aggies, man, I think if we're talking Aggies, it's not Texas A&M at the moment. Give me the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They get the dub.
Sure.
Starting Thursday, December 28th at 11, we got the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. ACC conference team of the Boston College Eagles taking on the AAC champion, number 24 SMU Mustangs, which, fun fact for SMU, this is the final year they're in the AAC because they get to join the ACC the next season. So we're going to have a future ACC matchup this game.
Absolutely.
So you taking the Mustangs or are you taking the Eagles?
Brother, this shouldn't even be a question for me. SMU is going to win this game, and the Fenway Bowl will be a beatdown. I think the Mustangs are going to leave Boston College beaten on the side of, beaten on the warning track. Let's just say that.
Nothing with the Green Monster? No Green Monster play yet?
Absolutely.
But I think it'll be a solid game to start. It'll be solid. But SMU looked real good. I think SMU gets the job done. It'll be a game. If SMU blows them out, it's going to be a second half blowout.
I think this is the biggest spread that I've seen. Not spread, but largest.
Gabe's the percentage picked.
Oh, not even percentage picked. No, I think the percentage picked is actually lower because it was 97 for Florida A&M. No, I'm more looking at the not even the spreads, just the numbers. Like Boston College is plus 340, man. Right. I don't think I've seen anything in the 300s on a plus. So
we'll see. But we both took SMU.
Yeah.
For our pick. Next game we got at 2:15. We're into another baseball park. Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. ACC versus Big Ten. We got the Hurricanes of Miami taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Who are you taking, Chairman?
Well, let me double check one last thing before I start opening my big fat mouth. But I believe there was a transfer for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be a big move because I believe it's Van Dyke is going to Wisconsin.
I don't know if it's Wisconsin. I know he transferred, though. Double check.
I believe Wisconsin was announced at 6 o'clock this fine evening.
That's new to me. I haven't gotten an update for it.
6 o'clock.
6
I
o'clock. I
believe.
also was working around the house when I got home.
Let me double check, but I believe Tyler Van Dyke is going to Wisconsin. Let me look at some news here.
We do have technology. Yes, he is.
Reported 4 hours ago by Rittenberg. He will be at Wisconsin playing for Luke Fickell. So be on the lookout. The Big Ten is going to be looking very competitive next season. It's going to be crazy that the West Coast teams are going to be the mediocre teams in the Big Ten next year. So I don't get it. It just means it must be something about the fact that you've been established in the Big Ten that makes you good in the Big Ten. So, brother, I don't think Rutgers has got it in them to be the backup out of Miami. But I think this is a lot different of a game than everybody thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Miami's going to still win. I wouldn't take any number in terms of a spread for this game because it could be Miami could win by 3 touchdowns. Miami could win by 1 point. I'm telling you now, it depends on how this backup looks for Miami. I have no idea who the hell the kid is. He could be the best thing since sliced fucking bread in the state of Florida. He could be the worst fucking thing since exploding poop in Miami. I don't know. But Miami, I just feel confident taking them, not Rutgers.
I was back and forth on this one, and now with Tyler Van Dyke coming out, entering the transfer portal now going to Wisconsin. I even looked at as who can outcoach who between Mario Cristobal and Greg Schiano. We do have a Miami fan within our groups, so James, here you go. I will always allow Sebastian to get some FaceTime, give him some love, rocking his hat and everything. But there's gonna be some red right there on his rear end. I'm taking the upset. Rutgers gets the job done, especially right now because Rutgers also has some big news. Their leading rusher, who's chasing the all-time Rutgers record, announced he is coming back for his senior year.
Interesting.
And that line is still spectacular for him to run behind.
I think my only issue is the fact that Rutgers has not won a game since October. Now, they did play 4 of the best teams in the Big Ten.
Yep.
4 of the top 7 teams in the Big Ten. Because Iowa's probably the worst in terms of that list. Of the 4 teams that they played, I don't think Iowa's that good, but they're also showed up with offense. So, yeah, they haven't won a game since October 21st. So, I'm still going to rev Miami, brother. So,
I'm taking the upset for Rutgers.
Respect.
Like I said, I was indifferent with it, but also Miami in the postseason the last few times. They're not the real Miami. Not the real Miami.
Absolutely.
So, another game we got, it's another new bowl game. The Pop-Tarts Bowl. And the celebration. And the team that wins gets an edible trophy because it's a Pop-Tart. It's a Pop-Tart trophy.
That's sick.
Listening about it, it is. And you know what? I'm going to have to pull up. The Pop-Tart Bowl is going to be played. I got to go draw the bowl games real quick. But the Pop-Tart Bowl is going to be played at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida.
Interesting.
We have a Big 12 ranked number 25 Kansas State Wildcats taking on an ACC ranked number 18 North Carolina State Wolfpack. I will tell you, if they got to draw a straight line in between for everything to be 50-50, this is straight up a straight line 50-50 game.
Yeah.
Line says Kansas State by 3. But regardless, still a 50-50 game. Close possession.
I agree. I'm gonna pull away from what I see, and I'm gonna say Kansas State. I like Kansas State's wins that they've gotten this season and the losses that they have. A couple of those losses, they could have had wins. They took Texas to overtime. That's something you got to remember. Kansas State took Texas to overtime and had them on their heels. Texas is competing for a national championship, so that's got to mean something on this one. Kansas State on this.
North Carolina played a ranked Notre Dame, lost 45-24. They beat Virginia, lost to Louisville by 3, a 13-10 game. They beat Marshall by 7. Lost to Duke 24-3, with Duke being ranked 17 at Duke. But North Carolina State did beat Clemson. They beat Miami, beat Wake Forest, beat Virginia Tech, and then they get the win against their state rival, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
This was a toss-up, and I knew it was going to be a toss-up. I'm sticking with my guns. I think North Carolina could squeak out and get it. North Carolina State.
Okay. Okay.
Final game we got on the night of the 28th at 9:15. The Valero Alamo Bowl. The Big 12, one of the Big 12 teams, I guess, to say farewell as they leave the conference to join the SEC. Ranked number 12, Oklahoma Sooners are taking on a team saying goodbye to the Pac-12. So this is the farewell conference game, too, we could say. Arizona Wildcats, they say goodbye to the Pac-12 as they join the Big 12. So old Big 12 versus new Big 12.
Yeah.
And Dylan Gabriel is not playing, as he announced he is transferring to Oregon. So, good old Brett V and his Sooners say Boomer Sooner. Or can Arizona keep shocking the world and shock Oklahoma?
Arizona wins this game, brother. I can guarantee it right now. Just full send.
Well, give me the upset. I'm full sending Arizona. They are playing spectacular ball, especially towards the end of the season. A lot of people thought they were only going to win 3 games. Well, guess what? They have 3 losses. I still think they finished the season with 3 losses. So, moving on to Friday, December 29th. First game at noon, we have the Tex Lair Gator Bowl. We have an SEC conference team, the Kentucky Wildcats, taking on ACC conference number 22, Clemson Tigers. Who are you taking, Chairman?
Kentucky does not have their transfers yet. So I talked and praised how Kentucky will look great next year. That will be next year. Clemson wins this game. I wouldn't take a line on this game because I just don't trust in Clemson. Dabo is single-handedly just going to coach this game somehow. I don't even know if it's him. It might just be the luck of Clemson. So go with Clemson on that one.
For the start of the season, I looked at Clemson. They were favored to win the ACC. They were favored to make it to the playoffs. I said I don't think they're going to. I didn't take them to win the ACC. I didn't even take them to take. I didn't even think with the talent they had. I didn't think they were. I knew they weren't going to make it to the playoffs. I knew they weren't going to make it to New Year's Six. I thought they would struggle to make it to a bowl game. I think they let the wrong quarterback walk and enter the transfer portal. Cade Klubnik, I don't think was ready to start for Clemson yet.
Hmm.
If Clay Klubnik entered the transfer portal, he would have went to a school that would have fit him. I didn't think he was a fit for Clemson. I don't think it was a fit under Dabo, especially the way Dabo plays ball. I'll give credit. They got me. They did prove me wrong. They made it to a bowl game. I thought they would hang around 6-6 and maybe just squeak in. They played Duke first week. Everyone projected them to blow out Duke at Duke. I took Duke for the upset. They lost. They had a few games that they should have won. They didn't win. Now Kentucky. I mentioned it before. What Mark Stoops is doing for this university, he's doing spectacular things. He had Chris Rodriguez. He had Benny Snell. He had solid running backs there. He had a few solid receivers here and there. Kentucky had a solid guy for a quarterback. They brought in the transfer Drew Levy from North Carolina State, transferred to Kentucky. He did solid for him this year. Kentucky's bringing in some big guys next year, as we announced. Brock Van Griff from Georgia, Chip Traynham from Ohio State. They have a running back right now that's getting ready to go to the draft. But they had a solid guy backing them up, too. Kentucky all around is solid. I'm taking the upset. Give me Big Blue. Kentucky gets the win.
Interesting take.
Next game we got the Tony the Tiger Sun. We have an independent team, ranked 16, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, taking on the Pac-2, ranked number 19, Oregon State Beavers. Oregon State lost their head coach. He took the job at Michigan State. DJU and a starting receiver for him entered the transfer portal. Sam Hartman's not playing for Notre Dame. Regardless, who are you taking, Chairman?
Hartman's not playing for Notre Dame. Oregon State's losing their starting quarterback and receiver, and one of their star receivers, I believe we talked about. I think Notre Dame overall without Hartman is good still as a team. I think Oklahoma State is still solid as a team, but I think they are hurt more without their starting quarterback in DJU and star receiver. So Notre Dame.
I was double checking and reading. I have to pull the Gamecast up for this game.
Mm-hmm.
But they might have another receiver that was actually out, and the guy that was leading them in receiving is still playing because he is a junior. But I wanted to say he entered G4 went, and he's getting ready for the draft as DJU entered transfer portal. But yes, Sam Hartman's not playing. But Audric Esting, he had a game against Ohio State. He had a game. Regardless, he was solid for Notre Dame. And I said it when we played him earlier this year. If we stop this team, we get the win. We struggled to stop him, but we did stop him. As much as I want to rock the Beavers, I don't know if the Beavers defense can stop him. I think his team has a solid game, and he leads Notre Dame to get a bowl win. Next game we got on the 29th at 3:30. We have the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Big 12, Iowa State Cyclones taking on the AAC Memphis Tigers. Who you got, Chairman?
Iowa State. I don't know. I love Iowa State for some reason. Memphis has gotten some good wins. Iowa State's just Iowa State. I don't know why. We ride.
I agree with you with Iowa State. They're solid. Matt Campbell, he's a solid coach for them. But there is one thing. Memphis is playing in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The Liberty Bowl is played in Memphis, Tennessee. It is the same stadium that the Memphis Tigers play at. So it is a Memphis Tigers home game. If Memphis plays elsewhere bowl-wise, they struggle or lose. If they play in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, they dominate and they win. I'm taking the Memphis Tigers because they're playing in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Location.
Yep. And the last few times they played in the Liberty Bowl, and they even played a Power 5 school, Memphis looked great against. So, final game we got on the 9th of the 29th is at 8 o'clock. It is our first New Year's Six bowl game. Big Ten versus SEC. Number 7, the Ohio State Buckeyes, taking on number 9, Ole Mizzou, Missouri Tigers. We know how our beloved Buckeyes were, and Missouri had a solid year in the SEC. You got Chairman.
This is a lose-lose game for Ohio State. They have to beat Missouri. If they beat Missouri, hurrah, they beat a team they should have beat. Ohio State loses to Missouri. Hell freezes over. Ohio becomes the saddest town in the, well, Ohio becomes even more saddest state in the United States and surpasses Detroit in being sad.
We mentioned it before. I mentioned it again. Even though it is Missouri, we lead the overall head-to-head series against Missouri. Missouri is now SEC. Ohio State doesn't play well against the SEC. It is a lose-lose situation. As we described, if we lose, it's not going to be pretty. And we're losing talent for the transfer portal. Mika Ibuka's coming back. Denzel Burke is coming back. Marvin Harrison still hasn't announced, which we know he's not announcing. We know that he's got a decision made. He's just not revealing yet.
Yes.
Devin Brown, Lincoln Kinholtz, they're going to get the reps. They're both going to play. Because Tom McCord entered the transfer portal after a question. This is a game that I even think if Ryan Day loses, his seat's not just on fire. He is going to be the dog in the room that is on fire, and he's saying this is fine. We had the discussion before. We're probably going to break it down even more as full season passes by and we get towards the end of the season. Regardless, Ohio State with a win. I'm not going against the beloved Buckeyes. To start the 30th, we got another New Year's Six, and it's another Big Ten SEC matchup. Ranked number 10, the Penn State Nittany Lions, taking on ranked 11. We call them the Fighting Lane Kiffins, the Ole Miss Rebels. Who you got, Chairman?
Brother, the Fighting Lane Kiffins are going to get it done. Penn State's good, but I think Ole Miss is just better.
I'll be honest, I was back and forth with this. Ole Miss is solid in the SEC. I give him credit. But Drew Allard is a solid quarterback. But I look at Nick Singletary more, running back for Penn State.
Okay.
I'm going to represent Big Ten for this pick. I'm taking Penn State for the win. Next game, we got 2 o'clock. The Music City Bowl. Big Ten versus SEC. We're not going to be done saying this just yet. We got the Maryland Terrapins taking on the Auburn Tigers. Here you go, Chairman.
Brother, I like Maryland as a team. They played very well this year. They had a lot of teams on their toes during the season, but Auburn had a lot of teams on their toes this year too. Okay, I got to look at this one again. Let me take another look before I finalize this, but...
Well, while you finalize, I will announce my pick real quick, too.
It's like a science project.
Maryland was the 4th best team in the Big Ten, and they proved it.
Yes.
They were solid. Tulia's not getting ready for the draft. He's not playing. What Mike Locksley is doing for Maryland is fantastic things. However, Auburn is a solid school. Auburn plays some solid football. Auburn almost beat Bama.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Bama came back and beat them. Almost counts in horseshoes and hand grenades are that old saying. But I think Auburn gets the job done over Maryland.
I agree. Auburn gets it done. I took a final look.
Especially with Hugh Freeze back at the realm in SEC football. Yes, Hugh Freeze was solid even when he was out of Ole Miss. So I'm going to take Auburn over Maryland. Next game we got is another New Year's Six game. This one was controversial. We all know it. We talked about it last week. The ACC champions. 13-0. Ranked number 5. Florida State Seminoles. Taking on the SEC runner-up was the number 1 team all this year. Now they're ranked number 6, 12-1. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Capital One Orange Bowl. Who you got?
Georgia gets this done. Florida State was a lot of suspect this year. That's about it. Georgia lost one game that they really shouldn't have lost, and they should be ranked number 1.
I agree with the Georgia. They went in already thinking that was the win. They looked over because they looked up. I guarantee you, they looked over and thought they were going to play Washington in the Sugar Bowl for the playoffs, and then Bama interfered and won. Regardless, still a solid bowl game to play in. I fully understand everybody with Florida State. I honestly thought Florida State shouldn't have made it. 13-0, screw it. 13-0, put the undefeated team in. Yes, that's Power 5. Their schedule wasn't as strong as some other looks. Knock out the LSU. I said it before, knock out the LSU game when you looked at the scheduling. Just the committee saying it was pretty much summing it up. They made it sound like, oh, they're a different team when Jordan Travis isn't. Okay, well, Alabama was a different team with different quarterbacks. I said it before. Here's the full and my full presence of the game. We're going to be seeing this a lot.
Yeah.
I think in the first half, Florida State has the lead. Florida State, I think, by 3. Second half will be a different game. Mike Norvell and his team has got to go in all balls, nothing to lose. You got to have that mindset, especially because it's Georgia, the SEC powerhouse. As much as I would like to see Florida State get the upset, Carson Beck's coming back. Kirby Smart, that defense is still solid. Second half's a different story. Georgia will make it a second half blowout. I'm going to take Georgia for the win. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people are saying. At least within the first half, maybe first 3 quarters. It's going to be closer than what people are saying. So, next game we got at 4:30. It's the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Fun. It's a game that's all on Barstool Networks. But the CW Network's carrying it too, because CW carried a lot of ACC football this year. Wyoming Cowboys out of the Mountain West. Toledo Rockets out of the MAC. So we got Mountain West and action going on.
The Toledo Rockets get it done. Wyoming had quite a few good wins this year that kind of put them on the map in terms of conversation for football. Toledo just played a little bit better. Go Rockets.
I'm in the same boat with you. I'm taking the Toledo Rockets for the win. New Year's Day. We got some bowl games. Good ones. We got the ReliaQuest Bowl. Ranked number 13 out of the SEC. Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels. Hasn't announced if he's playing yet or not. But ranked 13 LSU Tigers. Taking on Big Ten, another SEC Big Ten game. The Wisconsin Badgers. Luke Fickell and the Badgers made it to a bowl game. Who you got, Chairman?
I've got LSU winning this one. Wisconsin doesn't have their transfer in with Tyler Van Dyke yet. They will be much improved on that situation. LSU on this one.
I'm kind of looking at stats real quick, and seeing Jane Daniels for both passing and rushing kind of worries me a little because...
Oh, yeah, he's holding out, isn't he? Because he's going to the draft.
I think he's still playing. He hasn't announced. I think he's playing.
You think he's playing that game? Jeez.
Well, I'm trying to look because I was reading stats and they showed the overall out of the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon Allen, if he can if he can lead the rushing, Wisconsin has a shot. Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think LSU gets the win, even if if Daniels and Neighbors play or not. They play or not, LSU will still get the win. The two of them not playing, maybe it means Wisconsin makes it a closer game. But it comes down to Brandon Allen running the rock. If he has a spectacular run game, Wisconsin's got the shot. But I'm taking LSU.
Respect.
The fourth New Year's Six game we got, the Verbal Fiesta Bowl, 1 o'clock kickoff New Year's Day. We have the farewell Pac-12 runner-up, number 8 Oregon Ducks, taking on a new conference champion out of the Conference USA, ranked number 23 at 13-0. Shout out to Jamie Chadwell because he left Coastal Carolina to this school and went perfect for perfect. The Liberty Flames. Ducks versus Flames. A bird's gonna win. Who you taking, Chairman?
I got the Ducks, brother. Too good this season. Only team they lost to lost to twice is in the national championship run. And to be honest with you, not to spoil what I have later on, I have them getting a win. I have them winning a game or two. So Oregon gets this win over Liberty.
Hugh Freeze and James Chatwell. Solid coaching decisions and solid coaching for Liberty the last few years. They joined the conference. They were independent. Now they're bowling, and not just bowling, in a New Year's Six bowl game. As much as I like the Cinderella story to be true and cap it off, whether Bo Nix plays or not, they don't have their transfer backup. Oregon still has solid weapons offensively. Troy Franklin, solid receiver. They got another solid receiver. I have to double check, but Oregon's got too much speed, and I don't know if Liberty can handle it. I'm taking the Oregon Ducks for the win. Got another Big Ten SEC. The second to last one I'm probably going to be saying for a little bit. We got the Cheez-It Bowl, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl at 1 o'clock. Rank number 21, Tennessee Volunteers. Number 17, Big Ten runner-up, Big Ten West, Iowa Hawkeyes. Who you got for this one?
Brother, I got Tennessee winning this one. Iowa doesn't have the offense that I feel they should have to get a win in this bowl game. Rocky Top, brother. Rocky Top.
I liked this one, and I thought back and forth. Iowa's defense, great, solid. Mm-hmm. Tennessee's offense, not a pushover. Iowa's offense. Cricket noises. Tennessee's defense. I haven't heard much on. Tennessee special teams. Okay. Iowa special teams. Hey, their punter won an award. I think he could get Tennessee's offense to start further back. I'm calling an upset. I think Iowa gets the win. However, Iowa's defense leads to the Iowa upset. I think that we're going to have a lot of scoring from the Iowa defense this game.
Safety and a couple of defensive touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it could be a 7-0 or 7-3 ball game with 2 safeties and a field goal, you know? But hey, Iowa's punter, one hell of a leg. Even Pat McAfee gave him a shout out. So, all right. Moving on to the last 2 games we got, and they're the big ones. Starting at 5 o'clock, the college football playoff semifinal at the Rose Bowl. Number 1 out of the Big Ten is a team up north versus the SEC champion, number 4, Alabama Crimson Tide. He got.
It pains me to say it. First thing, there's a lot of things that pain me with this game. Number 1, it's the history of the Rose Bowl is kind of dead. They still have the parade, they still have all the hoopla bullshit, but this was a Big Ten Pac-12 matchup.
Absolutely.
Now it's just another game that's got a name on it that had history, but the history is gone. It's roses, you know? That's all they care about.
The tournament of roses.
The second thing that pains me is the 2 fucking teams in this game. 2 teams I absolutely hate going into this game. This game could end in a draw, and I could be the happiest man alive.
This team these teams cannot even say, yeah, we don't feel like playing, and I'll be happy. I'll throw a parade, you know?
Team up north is going to win this game. Alabama has not proved to me that they're a good team. And I think that this is going to be very similar to a year of where Ohio State should not have been in, or a year of just really figuring out that this number 4 team should not have been in. This is truly a competition of 1, 2, and 3. Because the 4 seed really is not that good. That's what I'm expecting to get out of this. Unless Alabama somehow pulls some trick out of their ass, this is a solid Michigan team that very much can get a run this year for a national champion.
All right, time for my soapbox. Alabama shouldn't have won. I don't care what anybody says. I don't give a fuck what you say. I didn't have Alabama in the top 4. I said it before. I took Florida State. Conference champion, and they were undefeated. That's why I based it off of, because he kept saying wins. How was Alabama's win over LSU better than Florida State's win over LSU? That's why I said I canceled that out. Alabama did beat Georgia, and Georgia was undefeated. I'll give them that. Alabama struggled to beat South Florida. Alabama was in our same boat at the start of the year because they didn't have quarterback. Their quarterback controversy lasted longer than Ohio State's. There were other schools that had theirs settled, and Alabama was still trying to figure out. They had their quarterback, one of their quarterbacks, transfer to go back to another school, and he's switching sports, going from football to lacrosse. Tyler Buckner, best of luck to you in lacrosse. That offense, I don't know. Cool, you got Jerome Burton. He was a solid receiver. Well, he was solid with Georgia. And then he transferred to Alabama after he won it all. Like, that confused me. Defensively, maybe Kool-Aid McKinstry. Solid corner. That's the only defensive player that really stood out. Now, another pain part. The team that I expect Ohio State to beat every year, regardless of 11-0, 6-5, hell, even 0-11. You look at this team, it's 0-0 all across the board. beat your fucking rival. We talked about it last week. I hinted it. Dalton hit everything I wanted, so I let the man speak, and I agreed because the man spoke fact, because I agreed with Dalton. However, Kool-Aid's got to cover both Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson. He's going to be back and forth amongst the two of them. A lot of people said J.J. McCarthy has to tear apart this Alabama defense. Okay. Well, it pains me to say this, and I'm going to say it, but I'm going to share my camera. There's a man right there. Of course, the poster's not there, but there is a shirt. That is number 15. He had 85 yards through the heart of South. I think there's going to be a part 2. But it's going to be called 85 yards and the Tournament of Roses. I don't care if Alabama could try to stop J.J. McCarthy. I don't care if they could stop Cornelius Johnson. First of all, that Michigan defense, Alabama's offense ain't tearing apart. There is one guy that usually carries that Michigan team. But they have a duo, and their duo is the best in the Big Ten. And probably one of the best in the nation. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Blake Corum, I think, in my book, is a top prospect to draft pick, running back wise. I hope Carolina, to celebrate the start of the second round, they draft a running back. The running back I want them to draft, Blake Corum. It pains me to say this. I despise this team, but I despise who they play even more. I'm taking the team up north to beat Alabama. I'm ripping that Band-Aid off. The other Band-Aid is still on. And that other Band-Aid, I don't think it's ever coming off. If it comes off, hell definitely froze over. The world's ending. And we're going to have a lot of good stuff. A bunch of good foods on sale. I don't know. Now, the final game we got, college football playoff in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Another farewell game, Pac-12 versus Big 12. Future Big 10 versus future SEC. So there's going to be a lot of talk now because it's technically 2 Big 10, 2 SEC. Number 2, Washington Huskies, 13-0. Michael Penix Jr., spectacular season. He finished second in the Heisman. I called him to win it, and I still think he should have won the Heisman. Taking on number 3, Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worley, solid defense for Texas. And I'll call my bluff. I said Steve Sarkisian's not the guy at Texas. I'll eat my words this season. He did solid. Who you got between the Huskies and the Longhorns?
I've got Washington, man. I think Texas is good. Texas has shown that they're a good team. They have an amazing quarterback room, which I think gets split up next year. And if you have not heard why I believe the Texas room gets split up next year, please listen to our last episode. Mm-hmm. We kind of went in depth a little bit about it during that. But I'm going to be real with you, brother. I think Washington gets this done. Going into our next game.
Right.
Talks about it too.
As much as I'd like Washington to win and keep Michael Penix spectacular season, Washington offense, Texas defense, it's a chess match.
Yeah.
Texas offense, Washington defense.
A mismatch.
Yep. And I'd rather make fun of him more. I don't hate Texas. I just like making fun of him. Especially because I still don't think Steve Sarkisian's the guy. He's just having a solid season with the talent he's got. I'm taking the Longhorns in this game. I think Quinn Ewers, it is a passing game, and Quinn Ewers, I think, will slide past Michael Penix by 10 yards. We're going to see 1,000 passing yards this game, I feel like. By both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks throw over 500.
This will be a shootout, and it will be first offense to fuck up loses.
Yes. So, total point, if you have to guess total points for this game.
High.
Yeah, I will admit, I was close with Ohio State and Utah in the 2021 Rose Bowl, or 2022 Rose Bowl when we played, 48-45. I had 45-42. I had 89 total points, and they had 90, I think it was 92 total. 93. I'm sorry, 93.
Shoot high.
So, that's the bowl game picks, but now it's coming down. We got to have our fun. On the sheet, like I said, on the sheet, that's all the bowl games we got. And then the national championship, it's amongst the four how you split it. But we do it differently. You know how we did it last year? We're keeping it. So, for your championship, you took Michigan and Washington.
Yes.
Who's your national champion?
Washington wins the national championship. Michael Penix gets himself a trophy. He looks like the best quarterback in all of the NCAA and goes into the draft whenever. I think it would be this year. This is the last eligibility year. And total. Or do you just want to go through total points as well and get this through?
If you want to say total points, go for it.
Total points, I'm going to go with 58 total. I want to know what? Even probably going to go higher on that. I'm probably going to go like 68 because these are two explosive offenses. No. Let's go somewhere in the middle. 54. I feel better. 54 is going to make me feel a little bit better for the fact that Michigan has a good defense, and Washington just has an explosive. So Washington wins it all, 54 total.
So for my national championship, I have the team up north, and I have Texas. I thought about it for a little while, and I still think about it. Defensively, it's going to be a solid game. Offensively, it's going to be a chess match. I'm with the first offense to make a mistake, mainly a turnover mistake. Out of these two, I think it would cost them. I will admit, I think it's going to be a bit of a high-scoring game. My total points is 89 points. But I also stick with 89 because thinking of games, I'm like, I think how many points are. Plus, fun fact, Carolina Panther, Steve Smith, he wore 89. Last few times I won with 89 for total points in games, it was close to 89. So it's one of my superstition things, you know. But for my national champion out of Texas and Michigan, I'm taking the team up north. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Blake Corum. He fought injury, came back, was playing spectacular ball. I think he's the best running back in the nation this season. Him and Donovan Edwards are the best 1-2 punch out of Big Ten, and I'd say even in the nation this season. Last season, I think it was the same story. Blake Corum, 3 different times, tried to play in the game. First game, he was fighting injury. Hussein Haskins took over. Haskins did well. Corum didn't need to play. The second game, Corum played 2 snaps. He couldn't go. Edwards played solid. Didn't need him. This game, he knew it was going to be the final time he got to play in the game. He went all out. We mentioned it before. Whoever wins the rushing game between Travion and Blake Corum would set the edge. Blake Corum won the rushing game. Blake Corum and the team up north to beat us. I think this will capitalize and boost Blake Corum's draft stock to show that he is the best running back in the draft class. I just hope he falls to where Carolina can actually be able to draft him in the second round because we screwed up and don't have a first. Mainly, as Blake Corum, it's going to be the Blake Corum playoffs for the team up north. That's what I'm leaning towards. Again, you never want to root for your rival, but they played solid ball. And look what they did against us. They were able to beat us. I think they're able to do the same against Alabama, and I think they could do it against Texas. Because amongst the three, between us, Alabama, and Texas, we were the best team out of those three that Michigan got to play.
Yeah.
And for years, when he took Washington, same boat.
Absolutely. Well, brother, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's all our bowl games.
Any other final words, colorful anecdotes, fun pieces of information before we call it?
I might hide in the corner because I took a team that I shouldn't be taking, but I'm looking at it. You know, I mean, for these playoffs, you know what? Screw it. I said it before. I'm gonna say it again. Screw it. You should have put James Madison in the playoffs. They would have won it all.
They would have walked it all over. It would have been their bitch.
Yeah, but 4 more days, and then let's kick off the bowl season.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I will thank you for listening to Not Your Average Sports Fans Podcast.
It's time to go. I got a bedtime reminder. I got to go to bed here in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it is Betty Bye time.
Night-night.
I feel like it's a good stopping point.
Thank you for listening to the Not Your Average Sports Fan Podcast. Please give a review and smash that like and follow button.
Just end the podcast.